Right now we're flying over the beautiful Colorado Rockies, looking at that snow cover. It is beautiful. Let's go back into the cockpit. We can see some more mountains off in the distance over there. Looking out the right window. Nothing but fields. Looking out the left. Do not want to crash down there. That is beautiful. This is one incredible way to explore the world. Go places that you've never been. And see places that you have been and see what they look like in the simulator. A lot of the places are a little different. For instance, flying over my house looks absolutely nothing like it, but it's a small house. They're not going to have a lot of detail in that, but you fly through a big city, you see buildings, you see monuments, landmarks, It's really incredible what they've done with this. We'll go back outside of the airplane, look around a little bit. That's just incredible. See the difference in the elevation. Where you come up on the plateau with the mountains. There's got to be some ski resorts around here or something. Go back inside the airplane. Let off the throttle a little bit. And again, we are running on a Intel i9 12900K, 32 gigabytes of RAM, a 3090, just the regular 3090, not the TI. And we are running DLSS quality right now. And you can see, the frames we're getting are really good. We're getting, once we get off the ground, we're maintaining 70 to 80 frames per second, which is, in my opinion, pretty good from what I see people complaining about in all the websites. Everyone just complains about this flight sim. Very little chat in the... Well, I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of people that are complimenting it. You can see some stuff loading here, but I definitely did see a big difference between the 3070 and the 3090. Not as big as I was thinking, but it all depends on where you're flying and what plane you're flying in, the conditions, the weather. So there's a lot of variables that come into play. It's really hard to simulate in the simulator the same exact thing from one place to another. But this does look pretty good. I love flying through the mountains. That's my favorite place to fly. Big cities and mountains. It's just incredible. And the mountains are probably easier to generate and render compared to all the detail in the buildings and stuff. If you just point it up and you're just looking at the blue sky, you can see the frames go up. Bring it back down. So just for instance, I am going to pause. We'll go into the general options. We'll change DLSS off. We'll turn it off and we'll just put on TAA. And we'll see the difference. So that way it's rendering full 3840 by 2160. You can see it up there. So you can see the frames did drop. Significantly. We're dipping down into the 50s now, but I don't really think the quality is much different, at least that I can tell. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but everything still looks very detailed. And I have no problem running on this too, out in places like this, but the DLSS does help when you get into the lower frames, when you're in the heavily populated areas, the cities, those types of landscapes. You will see the difference between 30 frames and 40 frames is a lot different between 50 60 or 60 to 70 or 70 to 80. But perhaps I'll just leave it on here while we're flying out here. Maybe there's a little more detail, but like I said, it's really hard for my eyes to pick it up. But you can see we're limited by the GPU still, which is incredible to have up until 2 weeks ago what is considered the second best GPU, most powerful, and we're still limited by the GPU. But you can see when I switch the DLSS on and it's rendering at 2560 or 2540, whatever it is, by 1440, we're actually limited by the CPU rather than the GPU. But if we can maintain 60 frames per second, that's what everyone's looking for. 4K, 60 frames per second. In a simulator like this where it's nice slow movements, I mean, yeah, when you're outside looking around like this, it's a little quicker, but you're not going to notice huge differences between 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Maybe when you're like panning side to side like this, or looking at the sideways when you're lower to the ground, looking at objects pass by, but this is smooth. Like, I don't know what everyone's complaining about. We can change the weather here, take a look, see what it looks like. Turn off the live weather and leave it on the Arctic chill. I like the big and bold. This is one of my favorites. I love flying around in this stuff. It'd be a little scary. I have a whole new respect for pilots after using this flight sim, to just know how many times I can think of that I've flown, which, I mean, I maybe flown like 20 times in my life. Maybe not even 15. But just thinking about, there was quite a few landings where I couldn't see the ground until I was about 300 feet away. Maybe less, when it was cloudy, foggy, rainy. These pilots are really incredible. I mean, that's what they're taught to do. But yeah, I can see the first time you come into a landing where you really can't see anything. You're relying solely on the radar, the lights on the runway. It's gotta be crazy. And we can see some... Well, I don't know if there's a storm going on over here, but there could be. But yeah, this is crazy flying through these, but it's beautiful. And again, what you're seeing on the screen right now, this is being recorded at 4K, 60 frames per second. So what I see may not be exactly the same. However, we are averaging about 60 frames per second, so it should come through pretty good. But yeah, let's fly into this storm here. Take a look. Wow, this is cool. And this is how quick conditions change. When you're in the air, when you're in anywhere. I ride a motorcycle, and I can tell you that I've gone 3 miles from blue skies to visibility of like 50, 60 feet when you would dip down to the valleys early in the morning when that fog's coming in. And it's crazy how quick it can change. Look at this. This is crazy. So now we gotta rely more on the radar when I'm flying. And by no means, I have a disclaimer. I am not trained as a pilot. I fly RC planes. That's why I kind of love flight simulation and flight in general. But I know nothing about piloting. My uncle's a pilot. My cousin's a pilot. In fact, he actually flies F-35s in the Air Force, and he does training on those, which is incredible. But I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just talking while I'm flying through the mountains, because that's what I enjoy doing with this simulator. But yeah, I just love how you can change the weather in here and get any type of scenery you want. You can change the time of day. It really just makes it... I use this more for enjoyment rather than actually simulating like an actual flight path, taking off from one place, landing in another. I like cruising around the mountains. I just find it so enjoyable. I mean, look at this. This is incredible. You can see a little stutter there when we got close. Increase the throttle a little bit. Climb up a little higher. Maybe we'll go around this mountain over here to the left. I go outside the plane, look around a little bit. It is beautiful. Those reflections, little lens flare sort of thing you see. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, well, that's it today, everyone. I will catch you in the next one.